Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning from
How are-
Illinois.
Good
Hello,
morning.
hello. Bill, hey, did you have any luck getting into the Discord?
Not today. I'm on my cell phone. I didn't have no problem.
Oh, talking to Bill, Big Bad Bill there.
Okay.
No? We went off. Okay.
Nope, you didn't say anything.
All right.
Okay. Whew. Well, we got through hopefully everyone got through the 4th of July weekends with all your digits intact and no one got hurt. And hopefully no one was affected by the flooding down in Texas. And if you were, it's pretty bad and hopefully things work out. But tell you what, water's a tough thing, especially when it comes down that fast and that short of time. So
Yeah.
hopefully everyone's safe, at least in our Discord for sure. So I'll start out here. Let's see what we got going here today. Looks like kind of flattish on the markets. Oil's up just a bit, 10 years up just a bit. Monday, July 7th, we just got done with a really short trading week last week, so we'll have a full week this week. Not really all that much going on from what I can see. I mean, the S&P and NASDAQ hit record highs last week. Of course, it was a shortened trading week, so volume was a little lower. Really, the only thing coming out this Wednesday is the FOMC meeting minutes, so we might get some indication of what the Fed is talking about from rates and such. But last week we had that so-called stronger jobs report, and that kind of, from what you hear, push back the rate cuts discussions because the job market's so hot, according to these reports. But if you really dig into them, I got a little chance to look at some of them. There's a lot of state and local government jobs in it. About half of them were state and local government. So again, once you dig in, you see it's not really the private sector that's working out all that well right now. What else? Elon Musk, he's going to start a new political party. So took a look at Tesla this morning. It's down. So maybe people who own Tesla are like, maybe he should focus on his companies. And, he kind of got out of politics. So he's back in. But we'll see what he does.
Hey,
And then
Mark,
there's new tariffs.
real quick. Hey,
Go
Mark,
ahead.
real quick. So
Yeah.
we're in Ginger and I are in Denver last week on Friday, and there's this Tesla, older lady, California license plate, and on the side of her Tesla is a Elon and a red circle and a slash through it.
Huh.
And my wife is not very boisterous about things like that, and she goes, "What a idiot!" And it just blew me away at how polarized people are when it comes to Elon, yet they'll drive his cars. I just don't get it.
I don't either.
So anyway, I had to share that real quick because I
Yeah,
wish
mean,
I got a
that's,
picture of it because it was so weird.
I mean, it's a different animal when a business guy gets involved in the politics, and you're going to get a lot of arrows slung at you either way, no matter what you do, and they can always vote with their wallets, or again, that's pretty silly to have a product that he makes and then put no Elon on it. But anyway,
Right. Yeah.
So
So side note there, a little bit comical, but the commentary from my wife was just, I would looked at her and I was like, you just, after 35 years, you amaze me every once in a while. Just
she has
what
some
you're willing
zingers.
to. Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so
Anyhow.
it's the beginning of the week. We put out a couple lists, 3 lists, and it's on the charts of interest in the Platinum channel. Okay, and we do momentum charts, and we had quite a few. Again, these, and along with an explanation of what momentum is and what your risk and rewards could be, along with the charts as of close last Thursday. And then we had some commentary. Then we put out an under 200 list, and there was a lot of those too. And a lot of these were still from last week. And so when you get into the under 200s or the watch list, they have a tendency when the markets go up to stay on the list for a while, as opposed to some of the momentum stocks. You know, they're out pretty quick because you're buying them at the top a lot of times. And then the watch list, we had a lot on the watch list that were with these little asterisks. That means they were been on at least a week. We added a few more. You know, these are watch lists. These are not buy lists. Go and use your own trading plan if you don't have a trading plan. Mine's sitting right here under Platinum Swing Trading Guidelines. And again, the guidelines that I use when I pick these stocks and how I get in and how I get out of them. Okay. And then again, all the charts are right here. So we always start out every week with that. And I try to watch those stocks during the week and see how we do. And let me get out of that. Put that down and let's go see how we did. So we're starting to track these back up again, and at least I have. And again, these are the swing trade watch lists from last week. The ones in yellow are the ones that I would have gotten out of, okay? Because they hit resistance at some point. Okay. And last week it was pretty good on the watch list, and we didn't have any losers at all on the watch list. We had 7 remaining still in play if you look at the per my trading guidelines. But you can see some of these we got out of. Securities Financial, we made 10%. Got out of Reddit, 18.5%. Still in Datadog. We'll see how that goes today. That got put into the S&P 500, so that helped us out a lot. Brought us up to 21%. Got out of Whirlpool. Oh, this is the 200-day. Okay. So the 200-day, we did get out. I got out of Whirlpool after 30%. It hit the green line of death or the resistance level. Got out of Wolf. This is supposed to be down here. At the 50, it hit the 50 for about 14%. And Land's End hit the sell order resistance level and got out at 18%. Remember, these are swing trades. They're not investments, but these are pretty good for a week or two in them. And then a couple got hit. I always have a 2% on the bottom side. And when it hits 2%, it'll sell out. So sold at 2%. So on Fortive, we were down about $141 or 2%. We're still down a little on Newsmax, but it hasn't hit the 2% on that. So we had a pretty good week on the under 200s, and I've added some more in. The ones in yellow have come off the list because they got stopped out or sold. And then we have the momentum list. A lot of the momentum list you see is out in yellow, and that's because you're buying a momentum. You're buying at the top, and the momentum usually ends, and then you hop out. And you can see over here, we're not seeing on momentum the higher level, the 30%, the 15% that you see on the 200s or the regular watch list, because on the watch list, we're trying to hit as close to the bottom and ride it up as far as possible. Momentum stocks, you're hitting them at the top, so you don't have that much left, and you're trying to hit in and hit out. But here at RCL, we're still at Royal Caribbean, 8%, 5% on Rockwell. So, but just not as much as we normally see up here when you see 17, 21, 16, 30, 17. So again, let's go take a look at some charts. Okay, let's put this up. Here's the S&P 500. That's a 6-month chart. Again, if you were doing the Paul Tudor Jones, you would have gotten out here at the 200, missed all this down here, pop back in right here, and you'd be doing pretty good as an investor. As a swing trader, if you were in this, let me get a little closer. You had a nice swing right here. We're swinging up. Here's where we're going to open today. At least it was a half hour ago. You got some sell orders right above you, but a nice little trend up for the last week and a half, or 2 weeks on the SPY. We'll see if it can continue to roll up that way. The Dow, again, Dow's coming up, and there's resistance right where we're about to open. You see the green line of death right there. And then you got some sell orders. That doesn't mean it's going to stop there, but it is a good line of resistance. You may want to take some off if you were like running up the Dow here a little bit. You could go up and to where sell orders are. A lot of times you see that, and then it pops back down to resistance. So just be aware. The Qs, again, the Mag 7s have kind of come alive and kind of lit up the S&P and the NASDAQ to new record highs. They open up just a little bit low. Again, you got some sell orders right above, but again, above the 200, if you got in, the Paul Tudor Jones, you're doing pretty well on the Qs too. So let's see. And Bitcoin trades 24/7. So it traded all weekend. I think it went up as high as 110 this weekend, potentially. Let's see. Yeah, 109.7. Last week it was 110.5. So we're at 108.5. We're above, we're right here between the support and resistance zones that we've been in before. So you can see going back. We're above the 9 still. We're above the 20, above the 50, and you're seeing these are trending up. We're above the 200, and you're seeing the Bollinger Bands expand a bit, and the oscillators still look pretty good on Bitcoin. So it's consolidating to kind of the upside here, and we'll see. But it still has to get up past that around 112 to where we hit back here to keep rolling. But so far, it's just been steady, and nothing really happened over the weekend for Bitcoin. NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA is on our one of our lists. NVIDIA again over the 200 had a crossover here of the 50 golden over the 200. We came up. We're going to open right about. You can see where we open. You can see where these trends start to hit underneath the Bollinger Band, which is good. We pulled back in, hit support, bouncing back up. Going to open a little bit lower. You got some sell orders at about 162.78, but a nice trend on NVIDIA, and you can see why the S&P and the Qs are going up. Meta, same kind of look on Meta. You don't have the resistance up here. You just have sell orders. You can see we've come up and hit sell orders, and sell orders are right now, right even with the Bollinger Band, which is kind of flattening out. And you see down here, the stochastics heading down on Meta, which means MACD is probably heading that direction too. But again, sideways kind of on Meta. So we'll see if the momentum can pick back up. But right now, not looking like it. Microsoft. Microsoft had this nice run, just right along the support and resistance. And now we've come up against hard resistance, sell orders. Again, the 9 is coming up towards resistance. We're squeezing in between. Look at the, kind of flattish oscillators. So we'll see if this can pop up or it's going to run out of steam and start, as that 9 gets closer to the resistance, heading back down with Microsoft. But it's been a good run on Microsoft. Google just got above the 200 again. It's done this before. It's made it up to about where it's going to open again. So we do have some resistance along that area. A real, green light of death resistance is up at 193. You got an upper Bollinger Band and some sell orders at 184.87. So if we can keep momentum going, you're above the 200. And the next level of resistance is really the Bollinger Band and sell orders at 184.87. Oscillators still look pretty good on Google, but we'll see what happens today. Amazon's come up. It's going to open right about on the Bollinger Band. You see, we've come up right about again where we're going to open. We've had some resistance there, but right above it at 226.09 is a pretty good level of resistance on Amazon. So we may be slowing down a bit on Amazon. And then Palantir. Oops. Palantir, this is, here's that pattern where the 9 comes up, hits that resistance, goes along it, and then starts dragging it down. We'll see that we've been under for about 5 days underneath the 9. We're going to open a little bit lower. You see the convergence on the Bollinger Bands, meaning consolidation and moving sideways. You've also got, the oscillators are down on Palantir. So until this turns around, we're going to be sideways to probably down a little bit. On the downside, you got the 50 for support. On the upside, you're going to have the 9 as resistance at this point. Let's go ahead and we'll look at a few of the momentum stocks that are still going from last week. RCL, this is Royal Caribbean. Okay, this one took off and we put it on last week, and have some still no resistance level on yet. That can come on at any time. And when it does, that's when I get out. That's when I would get out. I don't trade momentum because there's too little on the upside for me. And I'd rather trade down here and follow this up. Get out, follow this up. But again, a lot of people like momentum. But this is one that's on our list for the benefit of our members, and we still would be in it. Goldman Sachs, another momentum one. Looks the same, got in at this point here. Now it's back inside the Bollinger Band. I like it when it runs on the inside of the Bollinger Band. I really like it when it goes between support and resistance. But again, it's been a pretty good one. It's come up back inside and then caught some more momentum to the upside. I'm going to go to the under 200 list. I finally would pull the trigger on Whirlpool because Whirlpool came up and it hit my green line of death or my resistance. Now this was a nice run up, but I got to follow my trading plan. Can this still keep rolling? Absolutely. You got some sell orders up here, but it's hard to get past this. This is 2 days now. It's trying to get past it. You could pull back inside the Bollinger Band and keep running, but we're up 30% on this one. I think that's pretty good for a 3-week swing trade. 30%, I'll take it and put my money somewhere else. ILMN, still in ILMN. This has been one of those slow ones. I said, I like these slow ones that go between support and resistance, support and resistance. And so we've been in this for a while. Still in, you got some sell orders above here, but I mean, there's still some room to roll. The oscillators still look good. We're up about 12% on this one since we put it on the list. BBWI. Again, these are under 200. And we put these lists out. Well, actually, this one popped over. Okay, we put it in when it was under 200. Came up, hit the 200. We've been seeing with this momentum that the price actions are moving through the 200s easier than they would when the markets are going down or sideways. So again, we're now ahead of it. We back tested a little bit. And so this one actually could be on the watch list, but I just was too lazy to switch it over to that. And we'll just keep running from where we are. But right now we're up 17.31% on bed, bath, or bed and body works of all stocks to be up. You made 17% since on the list. NCLH. Again, I take up too much time on Mondays, but we got a lot of same thing. We're coming up on the 200 here. This is under the 200. We rolled in at back at this level. We'll see if it hits and finds resistance, or if we can get past it. But we do have some sell orders right above the 200. But I like it that the 200 is starting to trend up. But we're up on this one about 9% since we put it on the list, and that's another cruise line. So cruise lines have been doing pretty good. Here's one that the small one that we've been watching. This one came up and hit the 50. And you see there's resistance right above that. You got Bollinger Bands come down. So that's where it got out on the 50. We got in quite a ways back, again at 272, but getting out at the 50 gave us about a 14% gain on this little stock right here. And you get out. It's swing trades, LE, Land's End. Okay. This one came up and wicked up, and right where the 200 and the sell orders were is where I had set to get out, and got out because that's just 2 lines of resistance. I don't know if it'll go any further, but on LE, we were up about almost 19%. So take it and get out. It's Land's End, had a nice run. You could still be in it. It's still up, still running. But sometimes, before a weekend, especially a short one, you just want to get out. IBZ, we're still in, I believe. Yep. This is another one to hit the 200. Again, when you hit the 200 and you get above it, good things happen usually up there. So again, this was on our under the 200. It looks just like the other one we looked at. Hopefully it'll remain support and you still have some room to go up. On the upside, we're up about 6.5% since we put this one on, and hopefully this resistance level at the 200 now becomes support. And then the last one I'll show you on the 200, Macy's. These retailers for some reason took off. Yes, last week too. We got in back at this level. Okay, at the beginning of the week, it was put on the list. We're up about 7.38%. You can see the oscillators look good. But this is Macy's. Okay, we just saw Land's End. So some of these retailers have took off also. And on the watch list, that would meet my criteria. Here's Estee Lauder. We've been in this one for a while, got above the 200 where we got in, and then it started riding up. Estee Lauder, we're up about 18%, but when it hits up here, I would probably get out either here, or if you wanted to, here's the resistance level, but I think we're getting to the end on Estee Lauder, but 18%, we'll take it. Datadog. This one we got lucky because it got included in the S&P 500. It was doing a nice run for us anyway. It was one of those between support and resistance. Got some good news, came up, didn't quite hit the resistance level. So normally I'd get out, but we've got such a good run up on this. We're up about 22% now. And so, with these S&Ps, that was a 1 day deal. So a lot of these funds have to still buy this. So there might be some more price action on the upside, but, always have a sell stop on the bottom, limit or somewhere on the bottom so it doesn't drop back down. I don't think it's going to, but just to be safe, I think the chances of this going up are probably a little better, even though you have resistance, just because of what's happening. It's joined the S&P, but again, protect the downside because we're up quite a bit. But that one was just one of those lucky ones we happened to be in, and then the news came out and drug us up a little higher. And I'll do Zeihan. Zeihan we put on last Tuesday, got above the 200 when we put it on, said, okay, let's give it a shot. And these financials have really been taken off. And you can see what happened with Zeihan. Since we got on last Tuesday on the list, it's up about 8%. And it's riding outside the upper Bollinger Band. I expect it to pull back in, but the oscillators still look pretty good. Couple that we got out of because it hit resistance, SYF. SYF came up, hit my green line of death. That's my trading plan. I get out. Okay, we got in back here. SYF got out with 10.09% of a gain. Reddit also triggered us out, came up, hit right up on where the sell orders. When the sell orders are this close to resistance, you got too much resistance, like 2 levels of linebackers trying to stop the run, and that's where it hit. I'm happy with that. Reddit was about, since we put it on, 18.5% since we put it on. I think it could still go up, but I think, I follow my trading plan, and I'm happy with that. What else we got? Riot, and it could go up. Again, this is Bitcoin related, but when it hits resistance, that's when I like to just trigger out and and take my money and run. We got in a while back, but we're up on Riot 16.3% since we put it on the list. So been a good week, but you've got to take some profits. Otherwise, it's not called swing trade. It's called staying in and potentially losing, and you don't want to lose. Some of the other ones I'm watching, and they're on the list with the 50 or the 200 on semiconductor, kind of popped over the 200. You might want to be watching that. You're seeing some good oscillators. This has some room to go if it can keep back testing. That we've got Amgen. Amgen came up over the 200. It had trouble here, but it went over and stayed above. So oscillators look good. Here's another one. If you're an investor, you might want to, say, well, maybe if I like Amgen, I think it's a good company. The 200, it's the Paul Tudor Jones, so a swing or an investment. You got QRVO, and QRVO is above the 200 for a while. Just followed the 9, and then it started going up along the Bollinger Band. There's some room to go, but you got some resistance up here. I always try to get in a little better underneath the Bollinger Band on these, but it looks like it's got some momentum going. They're above the 200, above the, all the major moving averages. And you got some sell orders above it at 91.50. Couple more. J. Above the 200, Jacob Solutions. Okay, I'll just whip through these quicker. QCOM, I've got a whole ton of these above the 200, came up. Okay, again, it tried it here, didn't get to it. Watch the oscillators, and see if you can keep that going. Now, I'd like to see this Bollinger Band move up a little faster than that because it's kind of flattening out. So just keep that in mind if you think about QCOM. ANET. I'm on ANET. Why won't this come up? There we go. Above the 200. This one is toyed with it, and it got above it, and then you see a crossover of the 9 and the 20 is going to cross over the 200 too. That's usually a pretty good sign on ANET. So we're starting to see a lot more of these companies come back over their 200s, as an investment or as a swing trade. Always follow your trading plan. And then a few more. XLB, if you like trading or swing trading or investing in ETFs. Okay, this is the material sector, popped over the 200. Okay, it's riding above the upper Bollinger Band. Oscillators look good. Had trouble back here, but we got above. So that's material sectors. And then one more is the XLY. And this is consumer discretionary. You see, we've been above it sideways for a while, following this 9. Now you're seeing the 9 and the 20 move up, and you're starting to roll along the upper Bollinger Band, and you're seeing the oscillators switch over to positive too. So again, XLY is now above the 200 and running up a little bit too, and that's discretionaries. And just a ton on Mondays, guys. And sorry it takes so long, and sorry, Trent, it took so long, but man, there's a lot of stuff to look at and consider for you guys if you're swing trading or investing.
All right. So starting a full week. I'd like to review the Telsheet 12 and how it's doing, where we're at, some changes. So since inception, which was June 16th, if you had equal weighted this portfolio, which it isn't totally equal weighted, there are some changes in allocation. I'm going to point those out today. It's up about 17.63%, pretty cool. So we had some changes over the weekend on allocation. We AEHR here went from a 8% allocation down to a 6% allocation. It scored a 4, and that may be confusing to some, but what it is when it scores a 4, it is an indication that the stock is getting towards a resistance level. So we reverse our allocation from a full allocation of 8% to 6. We saw that same with firm holdings as well. Reduction from 8% to 6% over the weekend. And then, as you can see, the majority of everything then after that, Advanced Micro, ARM, Broadcom, Credo Technologies, are all threes, which is a full 8% allocation to these. So there's more, what that's indicating is there's more upside room for this to run higher. And so we want to be a part of that. So we allocate 8%. IBM went to a score of 4, but a allocation readjustment to 6. It's getting toppy up against resistance, but everything else is up at full allocation at this point. So let's take a look at some charts to get some visuals here real quick. As you can see, AEHR was one of those, had a reduction in allocation. It's going to open up about 8 cents lower today, but as you can see here, that candlestick, bit of a pivot point indication, but we're also up against some resistance. We talked about last week this gap, and that this gap eventually would be filled. It got filled
charts
the last 3 days of last week.
Your chart's not up.
What's
Trent,
that?
Your chart's not up.
Well, that doesn't work, does it, man?
I've done the same thing, so
Okay, sorry.
no problem.
Where is it? Okay. Oh, there we go. Probably looks a little bit better. All right, can you see that?
Not yet. There it is.
Okay. Sorry, the internet connection here at the Texas Correctional Facility is a little slow. So, that's a joke. So this gap here, we talked about this last week. It got filled basically from Tuesday of last week up until close on Thursday. So that got filled. So I anticipate this is going to become a level of resistance and a pullback probably towards the trade trend line, which is that white line there. RSI is super strong, but I anticipate a pullback a little bit there. Affirm, you can see as well, bit of a resistance. We saw that, resistance level, basically a gap created on February 7th. It's now become a resistance area. You can see that back in December of 24. So anticipating a pullback towards this white line, which is the trade trend line. AMD looks to open a little lower. Similar scenario. A lot of you got to take into account month of June was exceptional for many of these companies. So you're starting to see resistance levels and then pullbacks. And what we want to see in sort of a healthy process is a rise up, hit resistance, pull back, build support, a rise up, hit resistance, pull back, build support, and then a rise up again. So that's what I'm looking for in the next over the next week or so. Similar thing with ARM, a rise up, hit resistance, pull back to support level, build support, and move move sideways and then move higher. Broadcom looks to open higher or lower today, possibly back towards that trade trend line. But you can see it sort of petered out on June 30th and has basically moved sideways for the last couple of days. Credo Technologies, this had been a banger since early April, move up, move up. But we're also seeing now a sideways resistance is being presented. And we had a pullback on Wednesday towards the trade trend line. What trade trend line became support there, and then it moved higher. Today it looks like we're gonna move down about $1.61 will open up lower, but towards that trade trend line. We want to see this become support and then eventually a move higher. IBM just basically has been following the trade trend line since mid-April. Similar thing, but it's also doing the same thing, moving, hit a resistance level back on June 24th, has moved sideways, built support or come back down, hit trade trend line, and is building support. So we want to see this. This is a natural progression for intermediate to long-term investors. Up, hit resistance, come back, build support, and so on. IREN, this has been one of those that Kerry talks a lot about, data center, a conversion from Bitcoin or crypto mining to data center development. And they're starting to see the same thing. Big wick up on Thursday, but closed below its highs, but above its opening price. Looks to open up a handful of cents or about 50 cents lower or so. But chances are, if this can become support, that would be healthy and build a sort of sideways movement. The trade trend line comes up with it, build support there. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this price come down towards the trade trend line here in the 1365 range. And that would be a great place to start dollar cost averaging into it. Meta, Mark hit upon that as well. Similar scenario. Microsoft is somewhat of a similar scenario as well. It's just been following this trade line for quite a while since its earnings back in May. And I expect to see a continuation of building a support level there as well. Micron looks to open lower. It will open below the trade trend line. That is a cautionary thing for me. If there could be potentially support in the $111 range, potentially, we'll see. I am encouraged by the fact that the intermediate trend line, the yellow line here, is about to cross through the 200. We'll see if that continues throughout this week, but this has had a pretty vertical move since I believe earnings. Actually, earnings was on June 25th and has rolled off since then. So a pullback, taking profits, that's what the institutionals do, and build support eventually down here, probably around 100, right around that 110, 111 point of view. And then Power Solutions International, this was a gift from upstate New York, Bob from upstate New York, and continues to look to move higher, but has been following the trade trend line pretty much since mid-April. So remember that end of June was the end of the quarter, and institutions, mutual funds, hedge funds, pension funds, private offices all do a little window dressing. So they look good for the quarter. Expect that to roll off and some of these stocks to rebalance. Quarterly rebalancing of portfolios is typical. So as you enter into more of an intermediate to long-term positions, take that in account this week and as we go into the second week of July as well. And then a building support, and then moving higher into the remainder of the quarter. So we're looking good. Always have a risk management policy in place and go from there. So let's open it up to the floor and questions, ideas, anything like that.
It's a quiet group today.
Quiet, it's Monday. Everybody's
It's,
hungover.
it's all that explosions they can't hear, from all the fireworks. So, well, I've been
Anyway.
seeing a lot, just to show some more. I've been seeing a lot of trends, and I look at a lot of charts every weekend. You guys have questions, you either shout them out or put them in the chat. But until then, I'm going to kind of go and take a look. We had a good run on Robinhood. It came up and hit resistance, and then did a drop down. It's still within the bands, but I'm seeing a little bit of a bump down here on Robinhood. We'll see if it continues down or it goes sideways and continues up. But once you have resistance, again, that's when I get out. And this was kind of a momentum stock at one point. Other stocks that I'm seeing with the 200. This is a Taylor Morrison's Homes. It kind of got above the 200 and came back and back tested right above it. And you got to watch this kind of a pattern to see if it, today, if it can recover and head up or it goes under, so that's why you give it a little time. Sometimes these just race off, but a lot of times they'll back test and then lose some momentum. So be careful about the 200 when you start looking into the 200, as far as a place to either invest and or trade. Same, you got NETAP starting to come up and it's right here against the 200 in resistance. We'll see if this continues to go up and get above the 200. If you can go above the 200, you're right at 109.95, and your resistance is up here at 119. So that's another $10, over time. If this can continue to go, you could pick up. But right now, you only have really to the upper Bollinger and then to the 200 on your upside. So you got to kind of look short term and long term. But if we can get above that 200, it opens up a whole new plan of action on some of these stocks. PayPal's come up 1-2 days trying to get past it. I've been watching it to see if it can get past that. It can, and back test that 200. You've got some good momentum going as far as, the upward swing. Then get past that, then you got sell orders. And again, this is calculated by people like you and I who are on this program, where they put sell orders. And so that'll move up as people get more used to this upward movement. So that'll move. Your resistance is way up here, but I'm not in it yet. I wouldn't be in it yet until I see that, above the 200. But there's a lot of these out there that I'm seeing the same way. A few more. Got a whole list of. There's Nucor. Now the Nucor is one. It hit, came above, and then it took off. But again, 200. Seeing a lot more of that trend, where as before we weren't seeing that. So again, just be careful. Once you get up, have a trading plan, manage your risk, and put some stops in on a trade. And even on what Trent's talking about on the intermediate term, know when to get out too, because you don't want to lose on a long term or intermediate term either.
Right. So David was asking about Ethereum. This is a chart of Ethereum. 200 is the red line. Intermediate trend line is the yellow line, and the trade trend line. And as you can see, they're all basically converging right here. The three trend lines are all converging there. And let me clear this out so you can better view of it. But basically, you've got support. You've had this going sideways since May 10th or so. It's basically been going sideways. So the question is there hope there? Is there an opportunity? Will this move higher? And I guess what I'm encouraged by is we're seeing the trade trend line move through the 200 and catching up to the intermediate's moving through 200. That's good. The RSI is above 50. That's positive. And as Mark has pointed out before, crypto trades 24/7. So it gives you a healthier view of what's happening. I guess the question is, I think Ethereum sort of trails behind Bitcoin to an extent. I think what drives this higher up towards 3,000, 3,500, and so on is some sort of capital inflow back into risk in a bigger way. And then we're starting to see that in the options market. That's positive. But I think we're gonna start to, as long as we see, markets, money flowing back into the system, capital moving back into risk, Ethereum is part of that on the crypto side. And so I'm hopeful. It's still, I think, the number two used or traded or number two market cap crypto stock, second to Bitcoin. So it's still very liquid and whole bit, but we've got to see some sort of catalyst to push more risk onto the crypto market, and Ethereum will be a part of that. I think it's just patience right now at this point.
Some of that excitement was, I think Tom Lee is now the CEO of a company that's going to be a Bitcoin or a Ethereum treasury company, is what he's
Yeah.
going to do. So you're starting to see.
You're starting to see capital go that direction. Yeah. And maybe that'll catch on to it, and they'll catch on with institutions as well. Because that's where the big money is institutional investors. We've seen that with Bitcoin, IBIT, ETF,
Yep,
or ETFs and that kind
exactly.
of thing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot going into it. And Bitcoin, again, Ethereum can burn some off, but there's an unlimited supply of Ethereum compared to Bitcoin, which is only 21 million. So keep that in mind.
Right.
We got a long list of stocks. I'll run through them real quick. CFLT came up, Confluent, Class A. I like this. I like it above the 200. We're going to see if it can back test it, and stay above, and then it's got some room to run. Oscillators look pretty good. You got the stochastic, but it's in the 90s. Okay, so it's kind of embedded, which can run along that upper Bollinger. But I like it's above the 200. We're starting to see some of these, but the MACD is looking really good on this one. So keep that on your list, and either as a swing trade or as a long-term investment. We've got you. Somebody wanted to look at you. You is nice. Had a nice big candle for me. I would be out on a swing trade because of this line of resistance here, which we've seen it before, and again right on it on Thursday. But yeah, it was a nice big old candle. But we'll see if we can get past that. Sometimes you'll see it. It will go up, hit this resistance where the sell orders are, and then pop back down. But as far as a swing trade, it would not meet my requirements. But individuals have their own requirements, and you have to trade to how your risk management plan is. And so that's what I got on that. Sand. Sandstorm Gold. Okay. Again, right along resistance. We've seen it before. Had a nice run here. This is where I try to find to get in. When it crosses the 9, it's over the 200. It's over the 50. It's over the 20. And that would have been a nice run up and out and then sideways. And then it went up and it hit resistance. So again, on a swing trade, I'd be done with this. And the play would have been right back in that area. Run. You're going to see these solar companies, I think, with the big, beautiful bill. We saw that some of the tax credits were left in and not taken out. And that's what you saw last week when that passed. Again, over the 200, but we hit some resistance here. You have to watch this one and see if this actually has enough momentum to pull that resistance and move it out of the way or eliminate it. You do have some sell orders above it. So some traders think you can get up to this level. And we've seen that before. It'll pop up and then maybe head back down. But again, oscillators look good. But again, you're at the top. You're hitting resistance. So, it would have been nice to kind of run it back here. I wouldn't have even got in here until at this point when it got above the 9, and I'm starting to see crossovers of the oscillators. But run had a nice run. TAN, this is the ETF for the solar, I believe. Yep, Vasco Solar. So this is one that you watch. Here it couldn't get past the 200, and here it couldn't get past the 200. And here it tried, then you got the one above it, and then it took off. And we just talked about this. Sometimes it'll just get up, test it, and off it goes. And again, news helped on this one because of the big, beautiful bill. I don't like buying outside of the Bollinger Bands. If you pull back in, I like the oscillators. You got some sell order resistance up here, along with resistance. We may see this pull in, and we may see it continue to run up. But this is one that, if you watch on the 200, this one faked us out over here and then dropped. Okay, and this one took off because we had some good news in the big, beautiful bill. CSIQ. Okay, here's another solar. Again, playing the 200, 200, 200, got the news in, came right up to resistance, and that's where we've been for the last 2 days. So again, pretty strong level. Can it go up? Yeah, it could go up and where you have sell orders. It just depends on how much you want to, what your risk and reward is. This line's pretty strong for me. I know for others, they don't care about it, but it's been a good line of resistance and saved me a lot of money and made me a lot of money at the same time. ETHE, this is Ethereum ETF. And again, here's your 200. It's been having some trouble. It's popped up before. It's coming up to the 200 again. And then you've got resistance right above it too. So two pretty strong lines of resistance. Again, crypto is very volatile. Although in this case, we've been going sideways for a while. With Tom Lee in there, and there's some more interest in treasury companies on Ethereum. That might boost the demand for Ethereum. Again, there's a huge supply of Ethereum out there. But, you can watch this, but, it's got to get past that 200, and we got to get past this resistance. Two levels of resistance that are pretty hard to roll by. SFD. Smithfield Foods. Okay, this is a momentum runner. Let's look at the volume. It's just a lowish volume on this one, Smithfield Foods. Got a pop on the MACD, got a pop on the stochastic. It's come up. Running right along the upper Bollinger Band. Let's see where we are here, 7, 6, 2. Okay, so you're seeing the volume go down as it's running this Bollinger Band on the upside. But again, play it like momentum stock. I'd always try to get it a little bit lower, like on these wicks that come down. So you can see this twice. It's come down and hit this area. Go over here, you can see here, we were at that area. Might be able to catch it, and have it pop back up. And again, support is at the 9. On Smithfield Foods and CCEP. Okay, Coca-Cola Euro Pacific. This one's an interesting one because we've looked at this before and it had this nice run right along the 9. Like this, these are the nice ones because you can buy, on the support and it goes up to resistance. And some people just go from support and resistance and buy and sell. Some stay in. Got below a little bit, but still. Technically, you're still touching the 9, touching the 9, touching 9, then you get out, and then it popped back up, and now you're seeing some run again. You're above the 200. Let's look at the volume. Good volume down here. So this one here, this one could run. You're already above the Bollinger Band, and it can continue to run up on the Bollinger Band. We're only one time above, closing above it. But again, you got the momentum going, you got the oscillators going, and momentum stock. So just treat it as one, and if you get in and you get ahead, always put your stops in, or put your stops in anyway at the desired level where you don't want to lose any more of your money. Mine is at 2%. So, do we have any others on that list, Trent, that you can see?
Did you hit on ENPH?
I got that one. Yep. ENPH. Okay, that
yeah.
one. Okay. ENPH. Let's take a look here. ENPH. ENPH. Now see, interesting on this one because we've come down. I'm going to back it up a little just to see how long we've been riding along this. Okay, support level. Wow, we've been under the 200 quite a bit. Just has a hard time getting under. And then I'm looking at the 50s coming down, the 200 still coming down. Well, let's take a look a little closer and see what we can do with this one. Okay, so we're having a little trouble getting past the 50. You can see we boomed on it here, we've hit on it here a couple times, and now we're hitting up against the 50 again. The interesting thing is, on the bottom side, we've got this intermediate support level. So something's going to squeeze out. We're seeing a little more of the MACD pop up, and we're at 51 on the RSI. So we're seeing a little more momentum. We can get past that. You have sell orders, at 45.33. We closed at 42.57. So a dollar up to where you're going to see sell orders. You have Bollinger Bands going sideways. Again, so we're just been consolidating for a long time, but it'd have to get up above that 50, which it's having trouble doing at least the last couple times that it hit. Okay.
Hey, one that nobody talks about anymore is SMCI.
Oh, you're right. That's a good one.
Nobody talks about this company anymore.
Let's
And
talk
yet,
about SMCO.
let's just take a look at it.
Ooh, resistance
Up against
abundo.
resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
one. I mean, that was just one of those high flyers. Let's go back and just take a look at it. You didn't see how it's demised. Okay, here we go. Oops, sorry.
oh,
Oh, here we go. Okay. Pull this one over a little bit.
it's just been up against that green line of death for quite a while.
Yeah, you see a lot of that here. Look, even back here, Trent,
Yeah.
you know, back in this area.
Yeah.
There
I
you
guess it's
go.
one of those I look at and I go, what would make this thing break through that green line of death? You know,
Not getting caught in accounting issues.
That
that
would
would be
help.
a
That
start.
would
That would be a
certainly help.
start.
Yeah, that'd be a good
Yeah.
start.
For
But
solar stocks, I'm in NXT. NXT makes a solar panel that swivels and follows the sun. It's automated to get the maximum amount of efficiency.
is there any volume?
Yep, good volume.
Yeah.
And the MACD
Yeah.
Yeah,
just crossed.
the solars have taken off. I mean, because the big beautiful bill didn't exempt it from tax. So you're seeing all of those take off. We looked at TAN, the ETF. So a lot of these solar ones. Let's see, FSLR. I haven't looked at it. Don't even know. Yeah, FSLR First Solar popped above the 200 with that news last week. And we'll see. We've done this before over here, and we'll see what happens and how far they go. But again, another one just because I always have it. So Berkshire's still fighting the 200 when it got above it and went up and hit resistance at the 9, and then came back down and closed below it. But we're still right on the 200. Haven't closed below it, and it's still fighting that. We'll see if it can actually pop up and continue to go up. But really a long level of sideways motion right along the 200. And then our other favorite underdog, United Health, again sliding right along that support level. Look how close these Bollinger Bands got a little bit of a pop up to where sellers were, and then we're right back down on the 9, but above the 9. So I guess that's good news for UNH. But again, what will make this pop too? It's one of
Earnings.
the largest suppliers of healthcare, to providers in the country. So something's got to give, but there seems to be a good level of support right along this line, and all it needs is some momentum to pop it up the other way.
Another one I got to mention is shipbuilding, because Trump's going to be throwing a lot of money into the aerospace defense. There's a company HII. Did you cover that already or no?
No, I've had this one on before.
Okay.
And I think the volume's a little low. I mean, but I've had it on our list before, even with low volume.
Keep in mind,
304.
Friday was a half a day, or
Well,
Thursday.
I'm looking back
Okay.
here. You got 300,000,
Sure.
5 or 200,000, 600,000, 300,000. So it's just a low volume stock, but it's been on its way up. I've been watching it, but the reason I don't put it on the list is because of the low volume. It doesn't meet my trading plan, but I see. But you see
Isn't your
Yeah, I'm seeing
volume
over
level minimum
500,000.
500,000?
Yeah, it's
at least,
500,000.
Yeah. Okay.
And some of these defense stocks, we've come up and we've hit resistance. Here's Hemet Aerospace a couple of times on resistance and came back down and consolidating. We'll see if it just has trouble. When you see the sell orders resistance level inside the intermediate resistance level, that's usually not a good sign that because the market is saying I'm going to sell it below resistance, and that's what we're just seeing that in a lot of these stocks. NOC, Northrop Grumman, get above the 200, came up to resistance, back down above the 200. It's just, is there a war or isn't there a war? I think, like Paul said, I think there's going to be a lot of need because they've fired off a lot of these weapons that need to be replaced. You know, no matter what's going on, it needs to be replaced.
Yeah, I think it's
So
good to have a drone stock, pick your favorite one. But I think it's helpful to be in that space because I'm in evil. Oh, what the hell is it? I got some EVTL, but there's Archer, there's Joby. All of them are pretty just like quantum, it's one of those sectors.
It's a future thing.
Yeah, I think you need to have exposure to that because every one of them they're very volatile, but they're pushing up, they're not going down.
well, they pushed up. This one's gone up for 4 or 5 days, but again, the trend on the 200 is still down on the 200. So um,
I like that one because it's a defense drone specific
yeah,
versus I think the Archer and Joby are like part,
I'll let
commercial
I
events.
mean, I look at it. I look at swing trades as a trade, so I don't really care what they do. Trent, you might want to put it up on your chart and see what it looks like on an intermediate term. It sounds like we're talking about an investment here, not a trade. EVTL, Trent. See how that looks?
Okay, hold on.
And there's
I was
another
just
one.
looking at-
CAE is another one that I'm looking at. It's a defense.
Hold on a second. Let me get to that chart.
There's
What
no
was the
question
symbol again?
they're cranking.
EV,
EVTL.
Yeah.
EV, EVTL,
TL.
vertical.
Yep.
Um,
It's a crazy volatile stock, but you see the 200 flattening out and the other SMAs are on their way up.
yeah. So
So
yeah, I
it's-
mean, it's trading below the 200, broke through it, what, last week? Yeah. Trade trend line is trending through the 200. That's a short-term indicator. Your intermediate trend line is still trading below the 200, but that would be where I'd watch. The thing is, like, you had a gap down from January 22nd to January 23rd. So a gap down that has been a level of resistance there. I mean, just go back in time. This is historically going back to November of 23 has been a resistance level. And but it's like it's a what six open 695, $6.95 stock. Um, if we do see more Department of Defense spending money on drones and that kind of thing, that makes absolute sense. Um, so yeah, I think it's one of those things that you keep in the back pocket or on the watch list. Just remember its highs go back to uh October of 22, it was at a high of 107.60. It's like, why? I always ask this question, why did this happen? Why did it go from a higher flyer of 106 back in October of 22 to today it's at $7? What did was it just it didn't
When
get
did
the
the
defense
Ukraine war start?
contracts? And this could
When
be any company. What
when did
causes
it
that?
when did the Ukraine war start? That might have been it. I don't remember.
Yeah, it became public back in December of 21, but it's like what has happened in that time that and this goes for any company that you look at who's gone from super high to super low. What happened? Was it a fundamental thing? Was it contract? What did they quit making baby diapers that actually worked? Those kind of things. Those are the kind of questions I wonder what would then reverse that back to all-time highs again. And I guess that would be in this case, probably a big defense contract, or they do something, that kind of thing.
Okay, a few more requests on the chat line.
Okay.
BTQQF. Let's be a
That's
Bitcoin
fine.
Technologies. I have no idea what they do, but it obviously took off with the price of Bitcoin and volume is but it's picked up a lot since back in these days. So again, Bitcoin, you're seeing a lot of the Bitcoin and the stable coins and digital currency type moves starting to move a little bit too. That's a high moving stock right there and outside the Bollinger Band. So that would have been nice to catch that up. That's an interesting one for sure. We've got silver. We have someone thinks that silver could take off here. Let me get this up. Silver's been hitting resistance, had a nice run back in here. We had some couple runs, but right now it's just kind of hitting resistance, and we're seeing these Bollingers kind of go sideways. Again, that shows a little bit of sideways movement. But silver, it's where risk is. Silver and gold, and to an extent, Bitcoin is where people run to if they see that risk is higher, and you want to go to somewhere, a little more stable. I'm not seeing it yet on it, but you've had a couple of good days and it bounced right back down. Whenever the market goes up, you see silver and gold usually go down, but we have some resistance right above that level. And then you guys got some interesting ones today. I've never heard of some of these. Let's go to SAABY. Saab. Okay, Saab. 42,000,
Is that the car
83,000.
company?
Yeah, 58. So volume is very low on Saab. And it had a nice step up. It's just, I'm looking at, that was half a day. Let's go, 83,000, 125, 186, 255, 144. Yeah, it's really low volume, but if your trading volume on your trading plan is lower than mine, then you apply your trading plan and you abide by it. It's too low for me. But again, it doesn't mean you can't make money on it. It just means you have a different criteria than I do, on these.
Hey, Mark.
So Trent, we are way past time here, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up. I gotta hit the road, headed home
Oh, you
today.
do.
So
Yep.
got a little bit of driving ahead of me. And but I appreciate you all coming out today, and we'll be back here tomorrow. One thing
Okay,
I
so
do want to do this week, Mark, is start a morning edge portfolio ideas for the remainder of the year, like we did on the platinum list.
hey, we got to look at that list tomorrow if you can.
Okay, let's do that. But also let's come to some table with some ideas, more of a longer term kind of point of view, like between now and the end of the year, and pick out some stocks that could do and build a portfolio out and see how they do.
Okay, we'll do the 1 year and the half year. So we've already got the 1 year going. So
Yeah.
Saab, Carl says Saab they're building fighter jets and submarines, no cars anymore. So
Yeah. That's how they started in business with fighter jets. Are they a Swiss company?
Saab, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're Swiss,
Yeah.
they're Swedish, aren't they?
Swedish,
Sweden
something like that.
or
Yeah.
Finnish, one of the two. They're Scandinavian, I believe. Is that right, Carl? Carl's still there?
Yeah.
My friend had a
Mhm.
Saab one time. It was a nice car.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All
Y'all
right.
take care. Have a great day.
Well, have a good trip
Live
back to
loud.
Florida. Hopefully you make it there.
Oh, I will. I'll make it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
All
We'll
right.
see y'all later.
Talk to you later. Bye.